Yes, sir. We can start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the May 4th, 2021 meeting of the City of Vista Planning Commission. This meeting is being conducted utilizing teleconferencing and electronic means consistent with the State of California Executive Order N2920. The public may only view the meeting online and not in the council chambers. Mr. Conley, would you kindly call the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, please let the record reflect that all commissioners are present on the video this evening, all 7 commissioners. So I'm not going to go through everyone's name unless you'd like me to do that.
That's fine with me.
Our assistant attorney and myself and Chris Winters for staff present this evening.
Good. Commissioners, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our April 20th meeting. If there are no changes to the minutes, can we hear a motion to approve? Commissioner Grimm?
I move to approve the minutes.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Commissioner Looney seconds. Mr. Conley, would you call the roll, please?
Chairman Rossler.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Grimm.
Yes.
Commissioner Hastings.
Yes.
Commissioner Garrettson.
Yes.
Commissioner Looney.
Yes.
Commissioner Aguilera.
Yes.
Commissioner Savage.
Yes.
Good. All right. Commissioners, the next item, or I should say, Mr. Conley, the next item is agenda changes. Any changes to our agenda this evening?
No changes this evening, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Next item is oral communication. This is a time that the commission sets aside for members of the public to address the commission on items that are not on the agenda. If you are a member of the public and wish to address the commission on oral communications, hit the raised hand button so Mr. Conley can see you. And Mr. Conley, do we have anyone that wishes to address the commission?
I see no raised hands at this point, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Then we will move ahead to our public hearing. Under our public hearing, staff will make a presentation. The applicant has the opportunity then to add to it or be available for questions. I will open it up to the commissioners for questions. Then I will open the public hearing. If you wish to provide testimony, you'll hit the raised hand button so Mr. Conley can see you. Then we will call on you. You have 3 minutes to give the commissioners your view on the project. I will then close the public hearing and open it up to commission discussion, and then we will call for the question and take an action. So the first item on the agenda is Alliance North Santa Fe, P20-0231. Mr. Winters, I believe the staff report is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Rossler. I'll go ahead and get started here. This is a request for approval of a site development plan to construct 60 apartment units on a vacant 1.26 acre site located at 1559 North Santa Fe Avenue. For the project summary, it's construction of 1 4-story building with a ground floor parking garage and 20 apartment units on each residential floor, which is floors 2, 3, and 4. The building height parapets range from 48 to 58 feet. It's a total of 60 apartments, which includes 57 market rate and 3 affordable units. A density bonus has been applied to the project. It's proposed at 47.6 units per acre. And this makes the project eligible for 1 concession, which would be a relief from a development standard that I'll touch on later. The unit mix is 6 studios, 36 1-bedroom apartments, 18 2-bedroom units. There's approximately 10,000 square feet of landscaped areas at 22% of site. Next slide. This slide shows the existing project site. There was an It was previously developed with a single-family home and accessory buildings, which you can see the pads for at the southeast corner. The gross area of 1.26 acres with dedications that will go for the project. It will be about 1.03 acres after development. One legal parcel now. North Santa Fe, obviously located on the west side of the project. Public right-of-way at Fort Manor Drive on the east side. The next slide, please. Surrounding land uses include a small restaurant to the north, mobile home park farther to the west, single-family residences in the general area, commercial uses at the corners at Beauvier to the south. Next slide. The existing general plan designations are shown here. The project site is mixed use, which provides for a variety of compatible land uses, which includes multifamily as proposed tonight. Other surrounding designations include medium density to the east and north, high density to the northwest, mixed use on the other side of North Santa Fe Avenue, and neighborhood commercial as you go towards Beauvier Drive. Next slide is the zoning. Project site and surrounding areas are mixed use 40. There's single family residential, which is R1 and R1B to the north and east, multifamily to the northwest, mobile home park farther to the west, and basically everything consistent with the general plan designations. Next slide, please. Some of the project details, the 6 studio units are size 441 square feet, 36 one-bedroom units are size 700 square feet, 18 two-bedroom units are sized from 948 to 962 square feet. The 3 affordable units have been distributed between the unit types, so there's 1 studio, 1 two-bedroom unit, 1 three-bedroom unit designated as an affordable unit. Along with that, there's a concession requested, which is reduction of the driveway width from 32 to 24 feet within the garage enclosed parking area. State law allows reduced parking ratios for affordable projects. In this case, it's 1 parking stall for studio and 1-bedroom units, 1.5 stalls for 2-bedroom units. Total number of required parking spaces is 69. The project proposes to provide 82. As part of the project request, under the commission's discretion, is to allow 7 compact parking stalls at a 1-foot reduction in width within the garage parking area. Next slide, please. Project amenities include a landscaped interior courtyard just over 4,000 square feet in size on the building's 2nd floor, which includes multiple seating areas, food prep and barbecue islands. There's irrigated modular landscape planters, enhanced concrete with integral colors and finishes, and a fire pit and other features. There are several table and seating areas along the landscape path south of the building. And inside the building, there's also a 737 square foot club room, a 262 square foot bicycle storage room, and there's a children's play area with artificial turf and grass and equipment to be chosen in the future for play apparatus, also located in the landscaped area south of the building. Next slide, please. Site plan showing the project entrance from North Santa Fe Avenue, where there's 6 parking spaces in the open area in front of the project. There's a garage entrance that leads to 52 garage parking spaces. And at the rear of the project, there are 2 exits, which lead to the rear parking lot where there's 24 additional parking spaces. Next slide, please. Here's a closer view of the garage or the first floor plan, where the floor plan includes the club room, the bicycle storage room, lobby area for the structure, and an elevator and stairway, trash facility, and so on. There is 1 loading stall located near the elevator area. It's in the private drive aisle lane basically of the garage structure that is allowable under the code. If there should be a vehicle there for loading purposes, it would still allow one-way vehicular traffic with about a 14-foot clearance to the side of that loading space. Next slide, please. This is a second floor plan. Third and fourth floors have the same layout basically, except that they're open to the courtyard below. There's an enlarged detail that shows two of the units on the right, which is the studio and a one-bedroom unit. Basically, it's open to the courtyard area in the central area. There's storage closets for the units that are located in the hallway for some of the units. Some of the units do have their storage areas in the garage parking area. Next slide, please. This slide and the next one shows the architecture. The west elevation is the project frontage on North Santa Fe Avenue. The south elevation, which would be facing towards Beaubier Drive. Next slide. The east elevation would be the rear of the project facing Manor Drive, and the north elevation, which would be facing the restaurant to the north. The next slide, please. This slide shows the color and materials board. The project has a contemporary design that combines 4 stucco colors: slate blue, metal siding, white vinyl windows, black metal safety railing, various parapet heights as shown, patterned brickwork at the ground floor. There are metal shade covers over selected windows, as was shown on this elevations. Next slide, please. The slide shows some of the common areas. At the upper left would be the outdoor area at the southwest corner of the building. The east common area would be located east of that first area, which is the upper right corner slide. The lower 2 slides show the interior courtyard area, which has the built-in seating benches, barbecue islands, various table and chair locations, landscape planners, and so on. Next slide, please. As far as development code compliance, 10-foot setbacks are required from all property lines for this project. The project provides a setback of 10 to 50 feet at the frontage, 10-foot side setback to the north property line, a 22-foot side setback to the south, rear setback of approximately 70 feet to what would be the right-of-way line. Maximum building height allowed is 60 feet. The project height ranges from approximately 48 to 58 feet. Minimum unit sizes are required are 400 square feet for the studios, 700 square feet for one-bedroom units, 880 square feet for two-bedroom units. The sizes shown or that the project provides is 441 square feet for the studios. The minimum size for the one bedrooms is 700, and the two bedrooms range from 948 to 962 square feet. So everything complies with the code's minimums. Site landscaping, 10% is required. Approximately 22% is provided. Even if the interior courtyard area was excluded from that number, which is just over 4,000 square feet, the landscaped areas would still total about 12% for the project site. Project amenities conform to the requirements specified in the city's design guidelines. Parking complies with the state allowances for projects that include affordable dwelling units. Next slide, please. Early design review comments were given by the commission approximately 8 months or so ago. Distribution of the affordable units was raised. Basically, since that time, the project was redesigned to include one studio, one two-bedroom unit, and one three-bedroom unit as affordable units. The provision of a parking management plan was questioned. A plan has been prepared and shall be submitted to the city planner for review and approval prior to granting of occupancy. That is included as a project condition of approval. A question was raised regarding the number of one-bedroom units, and the applicant did reference a research document and responded that current market analysis reflects an all-time high demand for one-bedroom rental units. There was a concern raised regarding barbecue use and potential smoke issues, and property rules will address barbecue use and hours, and I believe the applicant can respond to that if there's any questions. Next slide, please. The proposed density of 47.6 units per acre is in conformance with the general plan and the mixed-use 40 North Santa Fe overlay zone pursuant to the density bonus regulations under state law and Chapter 1890 of the city's development code. The project complies with the development standards of the mixed-use zone. The project is exempt from environmental review under CEQA guidelines as an infill development project. Staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving the site development plan to construct the 60 apartment units at 1559 North Santa Fe Avenue. This request includes a concession for the reduced drive aisle width from 32 to 24 feet inside the garage area only, and that it includes a request to allow the 7 compact stalls within the garage area. Staff wanted to make a note that the commission we've had on recent projects for projects that have patios facing right-of-ways that it's suggested to have a condition if the commission would like to regulate any patio furniture or have the applicant respond in that regard. And that concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Does the applicant have a presentation, or are they here for questions?
They're here for questions, and there are a few perspective slides if they would like to show those quickly or whatever the commission would like to do next.
Sure. Who's representing the applicant?
We have Jim McMenamin, and I believe we have the architect, Steve Dalton.
Okay. Mr. McMenamin, do you have some slides to show us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, yes, I'm Jim McMenamin with Alliance Development Services, and Steve Dalton, our architect, is here. And I believe Greg Lamarca is also with us here, our principal. And Chris, I gave you the slides from earlier, and I didn't know if they were incorporated into the city's presentation, or we can certainly show those, and I'll defer to Steve in a moment. But I wanted to thank you and staff very much for hearing our property for approval tonight. It's been a process that we've undertaken since early design review, so we greatly appreciate your consideration and approval tonight. Chris, I just wanted to point out one thing. We have 1 studio, 1 bedroom, and 1 2-bedroom is the distribution of affordable units. We don't have any 3-bedroom units. I believe that's stated correctly in the staff report, but I just noticed that in the slide presentation here. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
I somehow created that by mistake. Thank you.
Okay. And that's really all I have to say. We're here for questions. And with that, either Chris, you can show them the slides, or if Steve is able to, I don't know if we can turn the controls over to our architect, but you're welcome to go through those if you like. And Steve, if you have anything further to say, Steve, please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Jim. And thank you, commissioners, for taking the time tonight. Chris, if you would just advance the slide for me. We have a series of perspective views that kind of show you how this project looks from the northwest, in this case, the next southeast. This would be from the Manor Drive side. One more, please. The landscape plan, as Chris mentioned, we've got a lot of landscaping, including the central courtyard at the top. And then one more, please. And then just kind of how the landscaping integrates with the rest of the building. We've tried hard to screen parking from North Santa Fe by placing our lobby and amenity spaces in front of the parking spaces there. We've set the building substantially back from the rear yard as a buffer to the residential houses across Manor Drive. So we have a 70-foot setback where a 10-foot setback would be required. We have stayed well within the height limit. The 60-foot height limit, the 58-foot height of our building is really only one location, and that is at the elevator core. The majority of our building is about 12 feet below the ultimate height limit there at 48 feet tall. The two requests that we have for drive aisle width from 32 feet within the garage to 24 feet is a well-used dimension throughout the county and city of San Diego, all the local jurisdictions around here, and we've done it on countless projects with no issues with cars being able to pull into or out of parking spaces. And then the request for 7 compact spaces. I'll just point out that we have a surplus. We're 13 cars over the requirement. So of the 7 compact spaces, we still have, if you were to eliminate the compact spaces from the project, we'd still have a surplus of standard car parking spaces. With that, I'll conclude and thank you again. I'm here to answer any questions and look forward to your discussion tonight.
Very good. Thank you very much. Commissioners, we'll move on to questions of staff and the applicant. Commissioner Grimm, any questions of staff or the applicant?
I had one for staff. On the studios, 400 square feet is pretty small space. Have we had much experience in the city with studios, and have there been any problems with families? And I mean, like, maybe with 2 children and maybe 2 cars occupying this, or is the studios we have seem to work pretty well? I don't know. So I wanted to see if staff had any experience with that.
I've been with the city close for 10 years now, and I haven't heard of any such thing. I haven't heard of any zoning code violations or fire or any other code violations. I might defer to Director Conley, and if he probably would hear about something if anything had come our way.
We haven't had a lot of projects with studios. We've really only had residential development at this density probably in the last 10 to 15 years, and the number of studios has been rather small. But no, because they're newer projects and they're all regulated for the most part under association rules or ownership rules for apartments, we haven't had any problems with overcrowding in studios or other things like that.
Great, thank you.
That it?
That's it.
Very good. Commissioner Hastings, any questions for staff or the applicant?
I guess this is for the applicant. For some reason, it didn't register on me that the parking structure was open under the residential area. And I'm not clear on what impact having that kind of open space on the lower floor has on particularly the apartments above it, or is there any?
Yeah, I don't think there's any impact on the apartments above it. What our renderings don't show is a 6-foot privacy wall or fence that would be surrounding the 2 side yards of our property. And so those cars will be screened from the side views. The openness of the garage is a benefit to our, in that gas and exhausts won't build up within the garage space itself.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Very good. Commissioner Garrettson, any questions of staff or the applicant?
I wonder if either staff or the applicant can just go over what will happen on Santa Fe and Manor Drive as a result of this development. Just for information, somebody might be listening that's in the area, but what will happen to Santa Fe? It's going to be wide, there's going to be sidewalk, Manor Drive. What's going to happen with that?
To complete the designated street width, the project is going to provide a 25-foot right-of-way dedication along North Santa Fe Avenue. There's a 4-foot dedication due along Manor Drive that will expand the width there to complete a 24-foot, basically two-way drivability on Manor Drive. And the project frontage along North Santa Fe that's going to provide for the sidewalk, curb gutter, sidewalk improvement, landscaping, and so on.
Thank you. I just think if anybody happens to be listening, that will be one of the first things people want to know about. So thank you, Chris.
I'll also add that the access to and from Manor Drive is limited to fire department access only. So traffic will be directed out towards North Santa Fe and not to the east through the neighborhood.
Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Garrettson? Okay. Commissioner Looney, questions for staff or the applicant?
Yes, two simple ones. Chris, on the curb and gutter of the restaurant to the north, will that align with the proposed curb and gutter that is being proposed on this project, or will there be a misalignment? The survey doesn't show any improvements to the north.
You're referring to the restaurant to the north, Commissioner Looney?
Yes.
Say that again, John?
Yeah, the existing curb meets our circulation element, the same as this property will have to meet. So those curb lines will meet.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question, there are some mature trees along the north property line, and are those on, Steve, your property, or are those on the restaurant's property?
I believe they're on the restaurant property, but I would have to double check my drawings for that, if you could give me a second.
Maybe the air photo that Chris had in his staff report would help.
Right. Well, again, looking at the survey, it doesn't indicate where those trees were.
Yeah, I don't know that for sure, Don.
Okay.
It looks like they're on the neighbors.
Yeah.
That would certainly add a benefit to your building, Steve, where it creates just an amazing screening from their parking lot. It really benefits both of you.
Sure. We don't want to look at their cars, and they don't want to be looking at us. So.
Right.
Yep.
So, Rick, that was all that I had.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Looney. Commissioner Aguilar, any questions of staff or the applicant? You're still muted. There you go.
I got it. Yeah, I have a question for staff on the club room. So I noticed it's 737 square feet. Doesn't seem that big. So I was just wondering, do we have like a requirement for projects? I mean, is there some sort of a ratio that's been determined that the developer has to provide a certain size or something like this?
We don't have a specified ratio, no. I know from experience, just looking at floor plans, if you're in that 700 square foot range, you're basically looking at the square footage that would be comparable to like a 2-bedroom apartment, with basically as for comparison. We don't have a list of what might be proposed for equipment in that or how it would be used, but the applicant can comment on that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from the applicant on that. And also, same question on the children's play area. I know we have amenities that are required. Is there a certain size for I don't remember if there is for the play area.
Well, we don't have a specification.
Might be something we need to talk to about with city council, because that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I think I was on council when these things were determined. It's something that seems to have been.
We only have a requirement for the amenity itself. So we identified the amenities by type. We did not specify sizes or, ratios, that kind of thing. We could relook at that.
Yeah, because we don't even know what's in the club room, right?
Well, I think the applicant will clarify that.
I could speak to that.
Do you have any idea what's going in the club room?
Yeah, I can speak to that, guys. This is Greg
Okay,
Marca.
Greg.
So, and Steve can speak to it as well. We're in the middle of kind of programming that space right now. We're looking at some co-work kind of areas in that space that somebody could use to actually have a viable place to work within the project. We'll have some club room space and some co-work space, and then obviously the outdoor area there will be amenitized to support the residents there. But we're really in the middle of identifying specifically how to best serve that community with that space. So, Steve, you could probably speak to that as well, but I know we're knee deep in trying to figure out the best use, and we're putting a lot of effort into it. I can tell you that much. So.
Yeah, and my response is that we're still working on the programming aspects of that. It's intended to provide a space that tenants may not have within their own apartments, and so a space where they could Zoom conference or work remotely from home, that type of space, or even kind of a leisure space.
Now, the children's play area, how big is that?
It's on the south side of our project.
No, I didn't ask where. How big? Sorry.
Yeah. It looks like it's about 35 feet long and 18, 20 feet wide.
The site plan says 532 square feet.
I know there's not a requirement. It just seems a little small because parks in that area, there's a sports park that's about a mile away or so. But it's a pretty good walk. I mean, you'd have to drive to get, with kids, you'd probably want to drive. Adults can easily walk to it because those are busy roads. North Santa Fe and Beau Beer is very busy as well. And then the other park that's referenced in the report is Luz Duran Park, which says it's a mile away. I think it's a little bit more than that, but is there any way to increase the size of the tot lot?
Well, we're not anticipating, so with our mix being heavily one-bedroom units, it's not that there won't be children at the site, but we're also not expecting a heavy family demographic here. And so we think that's an appropriate size for the type of tenants that we would have on site. We're trying to balance the need of children that will be there, but was also, adults with, desire for other amenities on site. So every square foot that we increase the playground area means that there's less barbecue area or sitting area or other amenity space for the other tenants.
Okay. So it's okay. That makes sense. You have 18 two bedrooms?
Yes, 36 one bedrooms, I believe it is, and 18 two, and then the studio's at 6.
Okay. That makes sense to me. All right. And then this is for staff. Just curious, on North Santa Fe, do we have a traffic count? I mean, I know that this will be a question that comes up to me. I live on the north side of Vista. 60 apartments coming in, 360 daily trips, which you and I know is not a lot, but for most people that are critical of building going on in Vista, that's going to sound like a ton. How many cars travel on North Santa Fe? If you don't know, can you get that information to me?
Yeah, I can look that up as the meeting goes if you like. Chime back in short.
I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate knowing how many, like on North Santa Fe primarily, but I think even like on East Vista Way, I was talking to somebody today, and traffic always comes up, but it'd be nice, I think, for planning commissioners and council to know on our couple of main roads there, what is the number of cars that travel every day, so that when a project comes in and we talk about 360 trips, people can realize what that ratio is that what we're actually adding, what percentage. That's all the questions I have. Thank you. It's a very nice project.
So the traffic study was sent out, that was prepared by the applicant, was sent out to the commission today. I know it was after the fact, or may have been yesterday, but we do have a limited traffic analysis that was done under our current guidelines. The existing traffic volumes on North Santa Fe in front of the project are about 18,000 trips a day. South of Beaubier, it's about 22,000 a day. That's under the existing condition. In the future condition, it increases to, about going through the report here, my apologies. Oh, it's existing plus project. The near-term scenario is, all that's required under our current guidelines. So existing plus project, it adds the project amount to the current volumes. It doesn't evaluate 2030 conditions.
Okay, so that's something that was sent out today?
Yeah, it's got the analysis of the intersection at Beaubier and at Taylor Street with the addition of the project traffic as well as the driveway for the serving this site on Santa Fe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That was level of service C, wasn't it, John?
Yes. Both the intersections operate at LOS C or D, I believe.
Okay, Commissioner Savage, any questions of staff or the applicant?
Yeah, I mean, mine was a little bit more broad, but I just see Manor. I know that there's not going to be any vehicle access over there, but I was curious if staff or the applicant had done any analysis on the projected impact of any parking and or pedestrian access on the east side of the building over to Manor. Didn't really know if there was any impact, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but just wanted to kind of get a breakdown of the expectations there.
Chris?
I don't think there's going to be any impact, vehicle or pedestrian, right? The cars will be directed out to North Santa Fe, so they won't be coming and going out of Manor. There may be pedestrian access back there, but that would just be very low impact activity, for someone to be walking on a sidewalk back there down the street. Significantly, all of our apartments are 70 feet back away from the rear property line. And so our building itself is set, significantly back away from the rear property line. So again, minimizing any real impact on the single family homes back there.
Yeah, and I understand that because Manor Drive has not been dedicated completely to a 24-foot width, it doesn't meet a standard street requirement as it's been developed over the years. So that's why it wasn't supported to have access to the project from Manor Drive. So basically, it's getting a small segment of dedication for the project site area, but not changing the status quo for how traffic moves through that area.
Yeah, I mean, everything looks great on this project. So from what I can tell, it's just I just thought about guests and things parking back there. I guess there's not going to be a lot of high school students, but they would be able to walk to Vista High. But that was just my question, is if any considerations have been made. I know, like with the amount of parking spaces we have on this project, if everything goes well, we shouldn't have any overflow parking on the street. But guests and things like that would be a concern of mine. But I mean, you guys have done a great job of adding enough parking spaces to account for the expected volume of people in there. So I think we're okay. I just wanted to, see if there was thought given to that. So sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all from me.
All right. Very good. I have just a few questions for you on the site plan, plan A1-1, by the driveway. There is a pad for a transformer. And you've got such a nice looking building, and then to see that by you're going to have this green box. Any chance we can get that underground?
This is Jim. I'll respond to that. Planning Commissioner Rosler SDG&E does not underground their transformers. That's common in San Diego County. So that is not something that is possible in this case. I mean, we can certainly look at screening or something that would help mollify that. But you know, it's not feasible to underground that transformer.
If you've noticed around town, several of the utility boxes are painted. My church will come paint the flowers on that for you if you get to that point. But some type of screening would be appreciated. Then on the studio apartment, a couple of concerns. How big is the sleeping alcove back there? You seem to show on the floor plans that it's taken up entirely by a big bed. And I was just, curious about how big that is.
I checked that dimension earlier this afternoon. The width of the couch that we're showing in that plan is 6 feet, which is a king size bed width. And the length of the king size bed would come out to the front edge of the coffee table that's shown in front of that couch. So It would be a kind of a conversion thing.
Right. And then all the other apartments have a balcony or a patio except for the studios. Why didn't the studios get a balcony or a patio?
I think it just comes down to the limitation of space, right? That we're trying to fit, these units in, and the studios basically to provide the balcony, I think would reduce the interior space of the studio, and so they just didn't get a balcony in the end. But we felt like being able to provide the studio did provide a greater level of affordability overall to the project. Even if they didn't get an outdoor space.
Okay, all right. You did a great job of showing us all the lighting facilities and their location. I was just curious about the corridor that goes down, the hallway that goes down. What type of lighting will be in there? And will each unit have a light outside their doorway?
There's a double loaded corridor, which will essentially be, for all intents and purposes, be an interior hallway, right?
Right.
So whatever lighting is in there, there would not be a light at each unit probably, but there would be an appropriate level of interior light to illuminate that and keep it safe, and as an interior space. I believe all the other exterior lighting is reflected in that photometric that we've provided.
Yeah. Good job on that.
Thank you.
Two things. When you do your parking plan, I'd like you to include a discussion about how long people can use the loading space, and have that in your rental agreement, lease agreement, whatever, just so somebody doesn't camp out there, especially the two on the east side of the building where you're in the drive aisle. So I understand our code allows you to do that, but I want people to know that there's a limit on that. And then also in the parking plan, I'd like you to provide a turning template for staff to confirm that the 24-foot aisle will accommodate cars backing out of those stalls.
Okay. We did provide an exhibit here tonight with the turning templates shown on them. If you, Chris, are you able to pull that up?
Yeah, Director Conley, if you go to the last slide, and then there's a blank, and the very next slide would be the turning exhibit. It's going to show a turning radius for inside the garage area and also at the rear of the project where there might be emergency access. Actually, it'd be 2 spaces past the applicant's slides. There we go.
Right there. So this is showing you within the garage. Oops, I just lost it. Are you seeing it? Okay. Within the garage, the turning radius for, I think it was a Toyota Land Cruiser to pull into a parking space. And in the eastern portion, you're seeing the radius for a fire truck to get into or a truck to get into that rear uncovered parking area.
Very good. Thank you for that. It looks like it works.
Thank you.
That does it for me for my questions and comments. Mr. Connolly, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the public hearing and open that. Do we have anyone wishing to speak to address the commission?
So if any of the attendees would like to speak on this item, if you would please raise your hand or press *9 on your phone now, I can pick you up for speaking time. We have no one that is raising their hand, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Then I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up to commissioner discussion. Commissioner Grimm, any comments?
Yeah, I have one. Well, I have a couple. First off, I think they did a great job on the project. I like the architecture. I think it'll be good for the area. I did want to travel back to something that Mr. Winter said in the staff report, though. The project is located on South Santa Fe, which is highly traveled, highly visible, and is also a major entry into Vista. So I think we ought to do something about perhaps putting a condition on that would limit some things that could be done on the balcony. I would think that basically you'd want to, be able to have patio furniture, barbecues, plants, things like that. But I think we ought to limit storage and also, nothing looks worse than, towels or laundry or something draped over the railing, especially since it's so highly visible. Mr. Winters had mentioned the possibility of some kind of a condition. I think we ought to, work with the applicant, but also put some kind of a condition to limit, some bad things that might be visible there. So I hope the commission would consider some kind of a condition.
Right. Commissioner Hastings, any comments?
I think it's a great project. I think Charlie has some good points there on the no laundry kind of thing over the balconies, but I think you have to be a little careful with what people do live there, right? So they have to be able to express the fact they live there. Other than that, I think it's a great project, and I'm happy to see it. So thanks for your work.
All right, very good. Commissioner Garrettson, comments?
Yes, just to follow up on Commissioner Grimm, I think whatever we do on Santa Fe should also include the whole building, because you have single family homes and other people living around there. They don't want to look up at that either. So whatever limits we place on that, I think should be, pretty much universal.
Okay. Commissioner Looney, comments?
Yes, I've got three. Mr. Conley, does the Ryland Lofts have any such regulations on what people can put on their balcony? Because that's really the main entrance into the city. And if there's no policy on the lofts, I have a hard time supporting something on North Santa Fe.
So Ryland did not include that requirement. However, their CC&Rs do limit what they can put on the balconies. It wasn't a city imposition. It was a owner imposition.
Okay. I think
Conley, if I can interrupt. Sorry.
Sure.
We did do that on a couple of the apartment buildings, on North Santa Fe and also South Santa Fe, Paseo Santa Fe. If you'll recall, we did put those requirements
yes,
on those properties.
I'm not saying we haven't done it. We have absolutely imposed requirements limiting what can be placed on balconies, particularly in some of the redevelopment projects that we had, I would say, more discretion over. But in the recent market rate projects, we did not include that condition, but the developers did have an obligation. The most recent project that was developed that had balconies that did not include that was the senior affordable project on Civic Center Drive across from the Vaughn Center. And we've received quite a few complaints about the stuff that's being stored on the balconies. So in all frankness, it's probably something that's going to come from the City Council if it doesn't come from the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Second point, Mr. Aguilar, just a clarification on the size of that tot lot. That 500 and some feet would be equivalent to an oversized two-car garage. So I don't know if that helps you understand the size of that area or not, but it is an oversized two-car garage. That's the equivalent of.
Yeah, and then I think the main thing is I wasn't really thinking about the size of the apartments and who they might be attracting. So I think I'm okay with it. The size, I get it. I'm sitting in a 1,000 square foot office right now, so it's half of that. Yeah.
Okay. And then, Chris, a question for you. I think on the early design review, there was a cross section that Steve had put together of a failing retaining wall on the Manor Street side. Was there any resolve to that failing retaining wall? Or, if I'm even correct on the same project?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't heard anything further on it, and I don't know that it could be a part of the applicant's responsibility.
Yeah, it can't be. It was something that was really kind of in the city's zone or the city's realm where, since there are no street improvements being done on that. But I just remember, I thought it was this project where we had that wall that was somewhat failing.
I believe you're correct about that. I noticed it on the civil drawing.
There's a wall that's on the far side of the alley. Is that what you're referring to, Commissioner Looney?
Yes.
There's a small 3-foot wall, but it's outside the applicant's responsibility. So I'll bring it to Public Works' attention and we'll see if we can't take a look at it.
Okay. Because I don't want anything to inhibit the access of emergency equipment if there is a total failure of that wall.
Understood.
So that's all. Great, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Aguilar, any comments?
Yes, mostly just agree with Commissioner Grimm's comments. I think that would be very helpful, and I think it's something that should be considered with any of these projects moving forward. I do have one question about the parking. Is there going to be any street parking allowed? Because there's
just a little bit.
The street section that's widened along their project frontage probably will allow parking until the street's ultimately widened along that whole stretch.
Right. So there's no way that they can limit how many people park on the street, right?
I mean, other than where the traffic engineer stripes no parking.
I'm not worried about that as much. I mean, I think it would be great for guests to park there and that. And I'm not concerned about people. I'm just more concerned about people parking across the street and crossing that street because it's super busy. And I just saw somebody the other day crossing there and he almost tripped and crossing the road on his phone. And there was cars blaring back and forth, in front and behind him. But there's probably no way to limit that, right?
Not to my knowledge, no. That we have brought it to the engineering department's attention that the street widening between the project site and 7-Eleven needs to happen. So we're looking at programming that. But other than that, no, we're not. There's no public improvements planned in there.
Okay, thank you. That's all my comment. But well, other than I like the project, I think it's a great improvement from I think the initial project. I'm really happy that there's a big setback from Manor Street because this is a pretty big building, and I think that it satisfies me. That's my biggest concern.
Very good. Commissioner Savage? Any other comments?
No, I just want to thank everybody for a good project. Thanks to the staff for reviewing it well. But yeah, it looks like a really nice looking project, and it's exciting to see Vista grow like this. So
very good. I tend to agree with the rest of the commissioners. It's a great building. I like the fact that we have studios, 1 and 2 bedrooms, and that the affordable housing is spread between those. The outdoor amenities are pretty top notch, and I think the project's been well done. It sounds like we have 2 conditions that we might want to add to the project. One, limiting balcony storage and laundry. And then how do you feel about having the landscape screening around the transformer box in the front yard setback?
Well, SDG does have requirements where they have to be able to access that transformer.
Yeah, I know.
That's one of the things that you just got to be mindful
of. Mr. Chairman, I don't know if the developer is able to move that anywhere else on the site. Mr. McMenamin, is that possible?
I spoke with our utility consultant, and she's an ex-SDG&E employee, and she indicated that was not feasible.
Yeah, that's SDG&E. I spent a career in
Rick. Rick, if you want to send them out to paint it, we'd love that. That'd be great.
Okay, you're on the next weekend of service project here.
Okay.
So I'm not clear what was just said there. You're saying it can't be moved and it can't be enclosed?
It can't be. The SDG&E has to have access to the box, and so we can't screen it with landscaping like a hedge around it.
Can it be screened with a fence or a gate or something that would allow SDG&E access, that yet would kind of screen it from being just an ugly site?
I guess the jury's out on whether or not that would make it look uglier.
Yeah.
Well, but there's got to be.
I'd be worried about somebody wanting to sleep in there if
That's a good point. Staff's perspective is if it's in a standard utility box, then
yeah, it's got to be visible. All right. So let's deal with the limiting storage and laundry on the balconies. How would you like to word that?
Is there some kind of sort of more standardized language that's floating around based on what's happened, John?
I think we can come up with an enforceable condition. I understand storage and laundry and towels hanging on the balcony is the concern. Let me confer with the city attorney, and we can put something together for you that works.
Okay, very good. Having heard that,
is it okay if I speak to that, you guys? Is it okay if I speak to that?
Sure.
Go ahead. We absolutely will not allow that on this project or any project that we have. That's a 101 for us. There's no barbecues allowed on the balconies. Any storage needs to be of a certain height and a certain type. We're extremely cognizant of how that can look as property owners. We don't want to see that. So we have no issues with anything you guys want to do there, because whatever you do will probably be even tougher on that than what you want. So it's just unsightly. It's a beautiful project. We don't want to clutter it up with a bunch of junk on the patios. We won't allow that. So
very good.
Chairman Roger, Chris Winters here. One of the things that we did on the Gil Miltenberger's 10 units, the condominiums on Civic Center Drive, was to limit any kind of non-permanent pop-up shade structures or umbrellas. That was one of the conditions included on that project.
Okay, well, I think staff knows what the concern is, and the applicants sounds like they're going to be even tougher than what we would come up with. So let's move forward with the motion, and the motion should include a condition to limit storage on the balcony, and staff will develop that condition. So would someone like to make a motion?
Chairman Rossler, did you also want to include something about the loading spaces? Time frame for use or limit?
Yeah, in the parking management plan? Sure. All right. Is that all right with everybody else?
Yes.
All right. We'll add that as a condition. And any other, someone like to make a motion? Commissioner Grimm.
I'll move staff recommendation with 2 additional conditions, one referring the language regarding balcony restrictions to be worked out by the community development director, and also another condition which would limit parking in the loading area to a reasonable time frame per the community development director.
Very good. So
Commissioner Garrettson, I would second that motion.
All right, we have a motion with a second to approve with 2 additional conditions. Mr. Conley, would you call the roll, please?
Chairman Rossler.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Grimm.
Yes.
Commissioner Hastings.
Yes.
Commissioner Garrettson.
Yes.
Commissioner Looney.
Yes.
Commissioner Aguilera.
Yes.
Commissioner Savage.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Congratulations. Look forward to the building of your project.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much, guys.
Have a good evening.
The next item on our agenda is reports from the commission members. Any commission members have a report that they'd like to present? Seeing no one, we'll move on to Mr. Conley's report.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a meeting on the 18th of May. That'll be our next meeting date. We will be reviewing the housing element, possibly another project, but I think that's the only thing on the agenda. We're not back in the chambers yet. We're still working on that. I believe the council is planning to go back in at the end of May, so it's likely that we'll be going back in June, but I'll keep you posted at the next meeting on exact dates for that once it comes closer. Nothing really to report from the council. There haven't been a lot of community development items presented to them other than what I've updated you on. We will be reviewing the climate action plan coming up in the next couple months, along with community choice energy, and I'll be bringing that to the commission after we have a discussion and get final direction from the council. Last week, they discussed the plastics ban. We'll be bringing that back in a form that they directed us to, and we've been covering our homeless master plan a lot and getting a lot of direction on that issue. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report unless there are any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Conley? Okay, very good. Hearing or seeing none, anyone else, we will stand adjourned until May 18th. And I put it off all meeting. May the 4th be with you. Good night.